Okay, there's I over somewhere around November, there will be like the ultimate one of these. Hopefully, a lot of I'm gonna start doing these. You'll probably start noticing this theme. There will probably be, as always, repetition. You know, as my teacher used to always say, yeah, there's a reason I just repeated myself. Like, yes, sir. You're forgetting things. And it's a very important teacher. Kai. What you said is very important is sensei. Kai. Okay. The business that I'm in, where I sell delicious things to people, this has always taken a chain to do. It takes a chain of people that, when I looked back into what I understood of the history of the business that I'm in the Western part, in the Western Europe, it really did require. This is actually even something that if you know enough about the weird kind of public television cinema that will show life in Western Europe from the 1800s into like about the 1600s, before there was like the show Rome, before there was sort of these really ugly, brutal back stories of the back time. There'd be Anne of Green Gables and these various shows that somebody would, these people who all live in old manors, and there's the servant girl and her life with some old dowager or something, and you know they're on, doing whatever drama. There's lots of drama involved in those. And your mom would watch these. An aunt, a woman you knew, she loved these shows, like some British show. They're all these people in manners, and the collars. All the guys have collars and ascots and shit. And hats that you're like, how does anybody wear shit like that and stay? Like, do you not touch anything? Like, how the fuck do you go through a day in clothes like that? No wonder, dude, no wonder the Europeans had to kick ass. Look at the outfits their women were putting them in. No, I'm kidding. Look how their mamas dressed them. No, I'm joking. I can imagine there's immediately people's heads are like, oh, I've got a good joke for that one. I've got a good retort for that. When seeing, I used to wonder, why the fuck do these people like watching these shows about some girl, Anne of Green Gables, like, oh, but we were frolicking in the woods, and this other thing happened, and now we're all staring at each other very dramatically. but oh, so I don't know what these shows discussed. All I know is that they would go on for years with all kinds of interpersonal dramas going on. And that's because that's how women experience the world. They experience the world not through Rome. Look at this fool carve graffiti of the day into the wood. See, men are more likely to be historians who could be out in the middle of some fucking fetid swamp covered in fucking bugs and look at this piece of wood, it has a big ass dick scraped in it. Because back in the day, apparently, this was the graffiti of prisoners when you were when you were in manacles in some Roman legion or something. And people will probably put in the comments, that is actually based on a soldier, da-da-da-da-da, did you read the background? I didn't read the background. I'm just kind of making a presumption that there's a whole bunch of these scenes that were based on what our best knowledge of life of Romans was. And I'm sure there was lots of interpersonal drama in that too. Yes, because there's also the issue of men have drama. Men have drama and have sorted it out. They've analyzed it and have sorted it out to the point where it becomes things like the 48 laws of power. It becomes these fundamental listicles of how to handle life. It becomes the collected writings in the Philokalia. It becomes, oh, I see you're leaving China, sir, and you are a sage. We need you to write us your observations and your wisdom before you leave China. Or it becomes something that is most certainly tightly organized, very well defined, and becomes something very, very well known. How to interpret life, how to understand it. We keep trying. The best methods we've had are actually something that are really old. Why reinvent the wheel of Dharma when you already have one? Use the wheel better. So we're at a time where we looked back, said, when plague strikes, what do we do? Some societies, like Korea and Japan, have had shockingly high success because of very quickly reacting to something that is a problem just outside of living memory. And they're literate people who wrote down the wisdom of their past, and nobody can seem to get them to doubt it. No one can get them to doubt that they can do something because they remember how. Americans went through a mass movement during this pandemic of, you morons won't know what to do and you need to be told. That we have nothing in the past that could tell us this. Even treatments actively being used that were not just medicines from the past. They're medicines from the past so cheap to produce, so well known for how effective they are, that they were and are required medicines by the World Health Organization, and in many cases by our own federal government, for many departments to have on hand. Having the fundamental anti-malarial formula that Donald Trump kept bringing up was actually a piece of our memory. And it was so important, we made sure to write it down and make it a standard of operation at all times in case of pandemic. And you had experts putting everybody in a whirl, saying don't count on that, even though this is a medicine that is required. You have to have it. It has to be present in certain places around the world and the country at all times because of how effective and cost effective it is. Just so people who they think Trump, they're sure Trump is just the dumbest. No, he was actually citing our knowledge as a people. One of the most important things that's come out of this. Now, ladies, they've robbed you of friendship. They want to take the money out of fundamentally white man's pockets. When you look at who's paying taxes, who really, they don't get a goddamn dime back. It's mostly going to be white guys who work for themselves. Or white guys who, they earn a certain amount of money, and typically a man like that, women are going to try to marry him. So that's just how it is. That's what the numbers say. By the data, this is married white men with families are the ones, and businesses, actually the businesses themselves, companies are who's paying taxes. Half the country, so almost all women and minorities, fundamentally just don't even pay tax. Because so many minorities like having time off. For me, I would rather have my money, invest it in some way, and have the time off, and not have bioweapon labs trying to decimate the human population. I would rather there not be a system by which we're spending billions of dollars to try to convince women to stay scared in their house alone. This is what our tax money is doing. It's trying to rob women of their mirth, rob women of their time to frolic in the woods on their horse. Can you go out, horse ladies? Can you go out and horse lady? Are you allowed, or does your horse have to wear a mask? Betta loves that. A pretty pony with a mask on. You're not allowed. You went to college. You're not allowed. Because you see, you're not really smart. Now they're telling you, you went to college, but you see, you're too stupid. You're still just too dumb to not understand how you catch a disease from other people. Even with directions and everything on TV, so you actually know the data about it, how people catch it, and everything. Remember, this is another one. Those of us who were the Trump supporters on the right wing, we were the ones who knew there was human-to-human transfer. When everybody was saying there was no human-to-human transfer, you had to somehow get it from some animal, which was preposterous on its face. It was a preposterous thing they were saying about the wet market from the beginning. That was preposterous. Who even knows what weird-ass propaganda play that was? I mean, that really was one of these things of like, I grew up around Chinese people. I kind of know what they're talking about as far as the market goes, because you see some things you never forget when you grow up around Chinese stores. It's a duck. Get him away from the ducks. Get him away from the ducks. I don't know what he thinks it is, but it's freaking the kid out. What the fuck is that? That's the beating heart of the fish, son. Where's the rest of the fish? What's happening in this neighborhood? Why is there cabbage and chicken feet on the ground? Why are there people everywhere? But then eventually you learn to love it. You just learn to, you'd rather be in Chinatown than almost any other part of town sometimes. It's weird. It's a weird transition to make. But, now, I get to see, I'm waving to people as if, I mean, this is bizarre. It's just bizarre. And old women like knowing that they can come out and enjoy a cup of tea with their friend. Preggies all want to hang together. Have you ever seen a flock of preggies? They all like hanging together, and then they all have their kids, and their kids are big, and they're like stuffing cookies in their face or bread or something. And all the moms are laughing and giggling, and and kids are swinging off their titties, and it's adorable. It's absolutely adorable. It's the cycle of life. I've seen so many kids here grow up, and that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the order of things. And they're trying to rob you of it. You're not getting this, that there's a lot of these medical protocols and stuff that these journalists, these politicians, these are unqualified people to be doing it. They can't do your job. Lady, they can't do your job. They can't. They could criticize your job. They could pay for a product or a service, but if they were left to do it, you would see that they were just unbelievably normal, just very charismatic. The vast majority of these politicians and these typists and these speakers on news, they can't do your job. They don't do the requisite homework. Some of these people do. These people who somehow, that the press is saying that these people are double secret Hitler, super secret squirrel, like David Nunes. He's double secret squirrel Hitler, and Rand Paul. Oh, what's that guy up to with his strict and constantly an irritating level of insistence on don't lie and don't use violence. Libertarianism for the win. And people are like, oh, sometimes you gotta fucking trick people. But that's not how Rand Paul rolls. That's not how he rolls. Doesn't matter if you don't like what he's saying. It is accurate. So his neighbor tries to murder him. His neighbor tries to murder him. And Democrats are like, yay! Because the new order is Democrats get to use the press and the secret police to deceive everybody. And if you don't give in to the deception, then they get to use the IRS or a goon squad of street communists to go after your life. Or they jump on social media, try to kick you off of Patreon and kick you off of PayPal, and they make you persona non grata in that way. Not that they can actually give really any accurate reason why they that if people don't, if you're such a horrible person, why would people give you money? Why are people paying you for your product or service? They hate that. They hate that's really the order of things. People pay for what they want. They hate that. Nobody will pay the Democrats, the liberals, the progressives, the socialists. No one buys it. No one's buying it, really. People kind of were buying it with Bernie, as long as he went totally uncontested by anybody in almost any real debating realm, that he went uncontested on this. But once contested, you find out, oh yes, you have the problem that any politician can absolutely not have. You have no allies whatsoever. You are so ineffective. You are so utterly unimportant. You have gained no allies. Nobody is going to lose anything. Taking you, Bernie, throwing you into the wheel wells of the struggle bus and watching your body go round and round. They will lose nothing. Why? Because of all these scared women and oddball dudes who will keep voting Democrat. They'll keep believing in some cause or something that in some way, shape, or form you're improving the world from, I guess, inside your house, where you're not allowed to leave, especially if you live in a state run by Democrats. They are trying to steal your mirth. They're going to try to steal your genetic information. They're not going to give you a dime for it. Invaluable. The memory of 1,000,000 generations. A form of memory that man cannot even begin to duplicate. They will say that the government has the right to find out about that, catalog it. In fact, you might be a danger to the old women and children if you haven't had your genetic data cataloged. This is what they are. This is where the left is at. And I love none of you believed that your side excelled after World War II because of the recruitment of Nazis, and that worldwide central planning was actually always something extraordinarily popular with the left. The progressives at some point just ran into the idea of, once the war was over, people were less and less fond of racism. So we started on that route, being anti-racist rather than, doing what we had done before, being staunch segregationists. No, the progressives started to figure out where they were going horribly wrong, that to have a one world government, you have to just manage the zones in which you will keep the different groups of people. Such as the way the EU was starting to develop before Brexit, as Brexit's the end of the EU. They were trying to steal everything they could, even the wonderful settings of your old shows. They wouldn't exist anymore. There would be no Greta of Green Gables. It would be Greta of Green Gables. That's what they were trying to do. They were trying to replace it, and you'd be like, wait, no, that happened in Britain. She's in some other place. And so, it doesn't matter. They just renamed the character. They just put this russet potato in there, and now it's the same show. Why should you expect some standard? Don't you understand? That's the way it used to be. Things used to be high quality. There used to be freedom. There was once some time where you could trust your neighbor and enjoy yourself. And once children played in parks. Can you believe what crazy stuff? They might catch diseases. They might catch diseases in the parks. See, they won't catch diseases at the schools. When they all go to the same spot, that's not where they're all going to get the diseases. No. You see, because somewhere there's some young lady who she needs to go back to work at the school. See, you need grandma to stay home and watch, watch Geraldine of Green Gables, not bother anybody. And don't start thinking that, maybe some of these young people are hopping to some conclusions, that no, experience doesn't matter. See, a lab coat and being on broadcast television. He's on broadcast television. Yep. Oh yeah, he's a smart guy. That guy, he's got a lab coat. Yeah. So I'm just liking that now. Even college-educated white women are being told now, you're going to give us your genetic data. You better not doubt. You're not going, do you own your own business? No, fuck you, ho. It doesn't matter if you worked your ass off and this is going to tank your life. It doesn't matter. Because there's a lab coat on television. There's college-educated typists. And they have something else to say. You feeding your kids doesn't matter. They're telling you what your future will be. Now do you all see it? This is what your future will be. Your future will be stay home. Oh, can you believe there was a black man jogging and this happened? Whoa, things are crazy. And then once again, boom, last weekend in Chicago, like 22 people shot. 22 people fucking shot. Last week, a fucking 5-year-old shot. Where was that story? Nowhere. The journalists don't care about black joggers. The journalists don't care about you. They want you to obey them. Stay tuned. That's all they want, and they've got you. They fooled you. They keep fooling you. Vote Republican. Change the whole goddamn paradigm. We took these people and we've one by one, we've chucked and then Trump was willing to lose the whole damned house to get some of those fuckers out. We need you all to start getting this idea that the Constitution, it kind of worked. It's sort of like the memory of thousands of governments. There was a set of fundamental concepts. They said, no. The problem typically is the government will try to take this list and chuck it into the wheel wells of a struggle wagon. So feel some mirth. Enjoy your people. See your friends. You deserve to see your friends. You didn't work all your life and now you're a retired, former public server, whatever you did. I don't care, no judgments. I don't care. You deserve to see your friends. You worked for it. You need to tell your Congress people, your representatives, I want to see my friends and none of us are sick. I want to see my family members. None of us are sick. Why are we not allowed to see our own kith and kin now? No. So you're going to have to push back on these people, because also we've got to get some idea, really, if there's going to be a second wave, there's going to be a second wave, so we got to get some kind of idea of what's going on. We still have weird sets of data that's like this. There's a body of people who seem to concentrate on these numbers. Then we look at overall, these numbers are saying, oh, okay, as long as you do these things, actually, the rate of infection and death should stay actually shockingly low, for what we thought. And then there's also the people who are like, of course you have these numbers in China. Look at the factors. You all aren't taking the factors of the population it first hit and how long it could gestate among them. How close were they? Is there already a long record of an area like this having some type of infection vector? Was there a high viral load? Etc., etc., etc. So, just some thoughts that I was having, because I'm feeling bad about seeing old people just wanting to have a normal life, and really even hippie dippy people who it's like, no, even hippies are starting to be like, oh come on, like even they're getting I know the fucking numbers. I've weighed an ounce of weed before and broken it up, bro. I know I know how to math. I know how to fucking math. I know that nobody around here probably has it. And I just want to get a fucking cup of coffee. Just want to get a fucking cup of coffee. Do you understand what I've got shit to do? I gotta run this load out to No Tai. Gotta go out to Cottage Grove. So, alright, later.